Okay, so between the booing and the tomfoolery in grand finals, we have a lot to talk about. So let's get directly into it. Um, First, I always say that sports players get the same treatment that Bayonetta players get, but worse. And this isn't me saying that to justify the treatment that the Bayonetta players are getting. Far from it. I think that the treatment Bayonetta players get is completely unacceptable. It's shameful, and we shouldn't be treating another player like that, much less another human being in general. That said, as we continue to become more sports-like, as we continue to get bigger and bigger stadiums and jumbotrons and stuff like that, this will be harder to curb. Right now, we keep trying to do reactive methods like, oh, this is such a shameful display from the community, and we get like 500 or 2,000 likes on that tweet, and we feel happy about ourselves for a bit, but then the community will do the exact same thing the next major. And so the fact of the matter is, we need to start having proactive conversations about how we're going to incentivize people to treat players in the way that we want them to be treated versus trying to reactively chastise them. Ultimately, we need to figure that out before, well, Ultimate comes out, because that will be a huge mark of growth for the scene, most likely anyways. So we really do need to talk about it, because the community here is coming with us to the next game. So we really, really, really need to talk about that. The next thing is basically this display in Grand Finals. I think it was extremely disappointing. I haven't noticed anyone say that, because a lot of the people who were disappointed in the Grand Finals or disappointed in Bayonetta being in Grand Finals walked out. That meant that the people who Zach and Lima were putting that show on for were a lot of the people who decided to stay. More than that, it was also a show they're trying to put on for their other competitors. And I know that personally, if the person who beats me goes on to make an amazing run, then I feel much better about it. It's like, oh, okay, you know what? You beat me. It's like, I'm fine with you winning the entire event. I don't care. It's like, go forward. It's like, those were good games, etc., etc., etc. But if they go on and they mess around in grand finals afterwards, then of course I'd feel terrible about that. And more than that, it's like, I can't imagine if I came from a different country, if I've come with the hopes and dreams of my family, my friends, like from literally anywhere. I could have been from Vegas and I wanted to win just solely for the sake of, oh, the people who I cared about, my girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever. It's like, imagine coming with all those hopes, and then it's like the person who beat you just sort of makes a mockery of everything in grand finals. I feel like that's not okay, and we shouldn't be saying that that's okay. More than that, I see a lot of people sort of trying to discount it by saying, oh, well, you should have been in grand finals if you wanted to change that. And while that's technically true, this isn't the Brawl days. A lot of the people who are in our audience actually probably don't play that much, realistically speaking. There are fewer and fewer people, proportionally, who are trying to even make it to the EVO stage. And that's one of the biggest issues with the whole Bayonetta thing in general. Community leaders keep talking right past them. They'll tell you how to SDI, they'll tell you that, oh, your mentality is bad about losing, or this or that, the other thing, or some other nonsense, not realizing that a lot of these people are just watching. And they're important to the scene too, because they're going to help us to grow our fan bases, they're going to help us to get more money in the scene, more teams in the scene, things like that. And so when you talk right past them, you're only making them more frustrated. So on one hand, yeah, the crowd did reap what they sowed by booing Zach and Lima by getting that grand finals display. But on the other hand, we're also reaping what we sowed because we've ignored how they felt for ages. And until you figure out, one, who the audience that you're actually talking to is, and two, how to actually talk to them, we're going to keep running into the same issues. And the final thing is for EVO itself. So a lot of people talking about like how we should disrespect the halls of EVO and how EVO treats us badly and blah 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is, as much as Smashers like to talk about all the money we bring into EVO, EVO has single-handedly helped players get into the 30 under 30 in Forbes Gaming. It's helped players to nearly immediately get sponsors and teams. It has helped players to rocket launch their careers. And none of our Smash events do as much for us as EVO does. Quite frankly, EVO is still extremely important. So when you want to say, oh, we should crap on the stage of EVO, maybe we should actually get an event that does as much for us as EVO does before we try and do that. Because until then, it really just sounds like people are just talking about themselves, which is the same issue that we have with audience, which is the same issue that we have with the booing and everything like that. Everyone's thinking about how to deal with the issue in the way that makes them most happy without thinking about the other people. And until we figure out how to be proactive about how we get our audience to treat our players, until we figure out how we're going to get an event that could even be like EVO, until we figure out how to speak to our individual audiences, then we're going to keep running into the same issues. Because this is the same thing we've been going through year after year after year, and I expect us to continue doing that in the future. And what's that going to end with? We're going to end up having the Smash scene maybe like big sports. Top players aren't even going to interact with the scene anymore. That's going to be really, really disappointing. I mean, if that's what you want, then that's great, but I don't feel like a lot of people want that. I feel like we want to preserve that grassroots feel. So, if we want to do that, then we need to take into consideration all of those things, all of these other people, and figure out how to deal with it. And especially because Ultimate is right around the corner. Anyways, those are my thoughts. I've also added a link in the description to an article I've written about the different audiences in Bayonetta in the past. I'd love to hear your own thoughts, so feel free to leave a comment below, or feel free to just reach out to me at TNG_RK on Twitter. I'd love to hear what you think. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'm RK.